Since the very start of existence, humankind has always sought to improve themselves. This goes for all aspects: cooking, fighting, crafting. And today's example, gaming. In this deep dive into Gamesense VS Skill, we'll be going over what Gamesense actually is as well as skill. This is all so, in the end, we can pit them both against each other and see which one is the most preferred when sitting down for a game of absolutely anything. Trust me, stick around, because I really do mean anything.
Okay, that has a toughness of 7 and a -1 to your hit rolls.
Okay, so that's 3, 4, 5 hits.
Okay, I'm gonna roll my saving throw, which is 3+.
What in the actual f*** are you guys doing?
This really is going to be the hardest thing to define in this entire video, so I'm going to need you to try and stick with me here. Just take a deep breath, close your eyes, and try to imagine what I'm trying to get across to you, okay? Okay.
Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare.
Gamesense is in every single game. There are countless videos to tell you what that game requires you to have for your Gamesense. But I find everyone has a different example. This, of course, is not incorrect. Gamesense does have different meaning from game to game. However, for the purpose of this video, let's try and land on a few key facts we can apply to most examples. Simply try and remember this. Gamesense is the recognition and utilization of in-game experience to push in-game circumstances in your favor. You've played this game for 3,000 hours? Why are you so bad? Why is that? Well, that's the joke, right? Well, it's Gamesense that is primary cause to that. Hate to be the guy to explain the joke, but hey ho, there you go. Gamesense takes all the player has encountered in a game, no matter the map, class, game mode, genre, and setting, and allows them to make the best informed decision based upon the experience they are making the use out of.
Show me the rule.
Allow me to present you with the tier scale. Now, the tier scale will show us what games are Gamesense based and which ones are skill based. Skill to come later, but for the most basic example, allow me to choose the most deceptively basic game.
Oh my god, dude!
Now, chess. Your skill in that game is all Gamesense. You should be able to recognize your opponent's plays, their intentions, and utilize your own experience with said styles. And your own plays should be able to turn the game into your favor. For this regard, chess is all purely quote-unquote Gamesense. Gamesense is this violently wonderful thing where people can play a game for thousands of hours and still not choose to pay attention to, hence the meme. You can see it, understand it, but you simply lack the aptitude to be able to change it. But most people can see that the change needs to happen, and when they try to, well, in that regard, you would require skill.
Here we go, we're on a 28, 29, 30.
Skill, diff, it's all relative once again. Skill could be dumbed down to being good at something, but being good at something and having a skill for something is different. Being skilled at something outside of games might just be the ability to complete a scenario to the perfect degree, and be able to replicate that again reliably. The Oxford Dictionary lists it as the ability to use one's knowledge to perform a task effectively and readily. In most scenarios, that is correct. If I was to flip a bottle 100 times and get it right 100 times, I'd be skilled at bottle flipping. If I was a mac and cheese chef and I was at a competition and won multiple awards, I'd be pretty skilled at making mac and cheese. However, when it is brought over to any form of gaming environment, being skilled falls apart due to Gamesense. because it decides to get singular. If I plucked out a top-level League of Legends pro and put them down in the Total War, I'd like to imagine despite how quick they are in their own field and their understanding to adapt to changes, they would fall apart. Because of the game sense. However, if I took a Call of Duty veteran and placed them down in another FPS game, I might very well get some good results. Depending on genre, game skills typically are unable to be translated from game to game. You're often, however, boiled down to the most basics, such as aim and reaction speed. If you are able to adapt quickly to the game, yes, you are considered skilled. However, let's remember the definition that we put earlier: one's knowledge to perform a task effectively and readily. Being skilled is not the same as adaptability. Adaptability from game to game comes with a strong determination to learn and attain your game sense and skill as quickly as possible.
Why are you doing this?
Now that we have a fairly good understanding of both, and with examples, we need to explore why both of these are important. Skill is your sword. You use it wisely and effectively to complete your task better than anybody else. Game sense is your shield. It teaches you rushing into a fight and not adapting to the situation will be your end. This all began because I used the phrase good game sense in passing and yet have no complete understanding of it. So, let's draw some examples up and see which ones are applicable and where we can try and draw conclusions. Start with the obvious banger.
This is brilliant, but I like this.
Right, let's start off with this channel's favourite, which is obviously Team Fortress 2, and I am probably the most qualified to talk on the situation. Now, hear me out. Why is that skill a big fat free? You don't need to be skilled to play TF2.
I'm an idiot. Damn it. Hey, you got an achievement for that. That's good, I'm happy for him.
That could be one of its most redeeming qualities. If that is not proved by the free-to-play meme, then so be it. W plus M1 Pyros need to not put on much thought, and when we have the classic example of simple Dust Bowl spam. If I took a pro player from any other FPS game and slapped them in front of it, they'd most likely understand the core concepts of the game and go from there. Game sense, however, comes as part of understanding the situation around you, its expected outcomes, and adapting that to best suit you. I can understand that running out into a huge sight line down a particular part on the map as one class might be bad. If I don't apply that and change my pathing, that's bad game sense. However, if I am that sniper watching said sightline, I can't punish that bad game sense if I can't land a shot. Make no mistake, this is in no way saying you need zero skill to play. No, this is to say that the skill requirement to play is lower than most. But the game sense of TF2 is absolutely infamous. Take a look at any video for TF2. Nearly all are investigations on weapons, maps, strategies that are nearly going into 20 years strong at this point. To understand so much of the game, you'd need years of research and so much of it to get to a good experience out in the game. Oh man, I'm gonna make so many people angry with this one. Runescape 3 is all about your in-game understanding. The game has ran an entire legacy worth of building in-game lore, locations, strategies, optimizations, and more. Ideally, if you aren't optimizing your in-game play, then you're going to be playing poorly, and you'll fall into the trap of trying to leap back with singular microtransactions. The skill requirement for playing it is often fairly low. Quests can be done on video guides, so your deductions aren't too impactful. Clue solving can be solved by installing plugins. Bosses can be taken care of with good gear, but the skill from those bosses comes as knowing how each fight goes and how you are best to adapt. Of course, you need to be quick on the draw for prayer switching, mechanic avoiding, and adapting fights to your favour, but overall, it doesn't require you to be as on the ball as its old school brother might be.
Art, I don't want to alarm you, but...
Well. perhaps the grandfather of all RTS games. Coming all the way back from the year 1999, Age of Empires is so very nearly perfectly balanced. It really can be easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you might have a chance of winning sometimes. Remember, this is a game which has nearly 20 years of unit understanding. By the second perfect rollout, lower the bore, efficiency must be paramount if you are to adapt here. Moreover, can you adapt to what your opponent might do to you? Did you take note of his blacksmith upgrades and units in the fight? Can you outplay him in the unit control? And can you make your lesser units more valuable than his so yours come out more effective in the long run? Have you thought on other strategies to counter theirs?
Oh,
better yet, can you actually pull it off in a time before your economy or the enemy player puts you away first? It is safe to say, Age of Empires 2 is a violently perfect mixed game with brilliant skill, brilliant game sense. It is a true testament to time of its impeccable creation.
Yeah, I need a picture in front of a rhino for this.
This is gonna be slightly biased as a fan of the game. However, that isn't to say that this isn't going to be without its merit, of course. Stick with me here. Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40k are both games that are very rules heavy.
Amazing back. Where's his stuff? So fucking.
On a lot of fronts, and it can be what puts a lot of people off. The game has rules to play by, so do the armies, and then that isn't to mention any packs you want to play in and anything else amongst the games. Your game sense is the winner in this entire format. If you are aware how each of your models plays and what rules they have and can utilize, sure, you'll do well. But then, how do you adapt that in a live scenario? To someone who is playing in the same way, why might you not put two models next to each other? And for what purpose might you not initialize combat with? Yes, the game is purely heavy in game sense. However, your skill in the game then comes from your adaptability between those rules and scenarios and its dependencies. It does border so very close to game sense, it's almost the same thing. But your skill here applies to a few factors. One being your gambling skills, and to a sense of your ability to read distances. If you know what you can do, what your armies can do, and what your enemy's armies can do, why would you let that on?
So because you know more about precision than me, you get to hit me.
Who's the
Because
hit?
I didn't look at the rules.
One, so hits.
If you can calculate a risk on a roll and that can win the game, ideally that's nothing to do with the game. That's just solid mathematical work. If my enemy moves within 12 inches of a potentially deadly cannon attack and does not notice it, that's great. But how can I make sure he doesn't notice without letting something on? If I can measure out a line in my head that can let me see that without making it obvious, that's skilled advantage right there. Ideally you shouldn't, and you should be a good opponent and let them know, but that depends on your disposition. It is a hard one for sure, and definitely it can blur the lines. So, realistically, in most scenarios, skill might be the better option, depending on what spheres you travel in, of course. Ideally out the two, skill is the more transferable skill. I can tell you the intricacies of TF2 and all its classes and you might not get it, but your arms and your muscle memory will ideally be able to adapt for FPS, or at least the genre you're playing in. But ideally, in my opinion, skill will often just win over. Hello, and well done for making it to the end of the video. Congratulations, you! I can't believe you just sat through that entire droning voice of mine. But hey, still a little bit left. Obviously, a huge thank you to all the people on screen here who've helped with editing, emotional support, getting me through the year. It's been a tough one this year, I'm not gonna lie, it's been kinda cruddy. But together, we made it as a team. As I always like to say at the end of my streams, count your victories. And hell, this is one hell of a victory. By the time this goes up, I'm hopefully playing at TF Connect. Come say hello to us over at TF Connect, or catch me on Wednesdays and Sundays, 7 PM, where I'm usually playing TF2. You've been an absolute star. like and follow and all that boring stuff. I love you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you for subscribing to Tyrsfall TV. I'm wanted by the Russian mafia and the Chinese, Yakuza too. Perhaps if you follow Tyrsfall TV, it will generate great revenue. That then Tyrsfall TV will send to Marasmus. Perhaps not. Thank you.